Paul, a middle-aged man, is swimming in the sea as he usually does when he suddenly sees a strange funnel-shaped cloud in the sky. He does not notice bubbles quietly forming a circle around him before disappearing without a trace. After his swim, he returns to his house by the coast. Paul, who owns a shipbuilding company, goes to work. His employees are busy completing an important order that could decide whether the company survives or fails. After checking on the workers, he drives home, leaving the busy city behind for the quiet coast. His wife, Elise, and daughter, Mia, are waiting for him, and they seem like a happy family. Later, Paul notices that the kitchen tap is not working, so he goes to the basement with Mia. Their cat, Tofu, wants to come along, but they keep him out because there is a fish tank downstairs and they fear he might attack the fish. While Mia watches the fish, Paul repairs a leaking boiler. Mia gets scared by a spider and asks him to kill it, but he refuses, explaining that spiders help by catching mosquitoes and flies. The two then play a fun game where Paul pretends to be a monster that wants to eat Mia, making her laugh. Back upstairs, Paul cooks dinner, and afterward the family enjoys dancing together in the living room. Once Mia is asleep, Paul and Elise keep dancing before going to bed together. On May 5th, Paul wakes up and takes a shower. While doing so, he notices that the shower head somehow seems higher than before. Later, he puts on a shirt and realizes it is a little too large, so he chooses another one. At work, he learns that payment for the important order has been delayed again, which makes him very upset. That evening, even though he is in a bad mood, Mia convinces him to tell her a bedtime story, and he even gives her a ride on his back. On May 7th, Paul realizes that all his clothes have become too loose and that he has lost a lot of weight. Worried, he visits a doctor and is shocked to learn that he is now 176 centimeters tall. Paul insists he has been 180 centimeters tall since he was 18 years old. The doctor says the change is probably caused by age and stress and tells him not to worry, but Paul believes losing 4 centimeters is too much. Later at work, he notices that his helmet is also too large. The changes make him so nervous that he cannot sleep at night. To keep himself busy, he starts exercising. On May 20th, Paul takes another shower and notices that the shower head now seems much taller than he is. His wedding ring also slips off his thinner finger. Later, he meets Elise, and both are shocked to see that Paul has become much shorter than her. Panicking, they rush to the hospital. The doctors perform many tests but cannot find anything wrong. As far as they can tell, Paul is healthy, except that every part of his body has become smaller in the same proportion. Frustrated by the endless tests, Paul leaves the hospital without permission and goes back home. Over the next few days, Paul keeps getting smaller. He even jokes that he might as well join a circus. Since he is now about the same size as Tofu, Elise worries that the cat could hurt him and decides to keep it outside. On June 30th, Paul has shrunk to about 40 centimeters tall. While home alone, he sees Tofu staring at him through a window. Suddenly, he notices someone opening the front door and quickly runs to hide under a bed. From there, he discovers that the visitor is a realtor showing the house to potential buyers. The realtor explains that the owner is selling the house because her husband has disappeared and the place holds too many memories. Later, when Elise comes home, Paul angrily tells her that she never warned him about the visitors and decided to sell the house without talking to him first. Elise explains that she has no other choice. Since Paul refuses to see doctors and can no longer work, the family cannot afford the mortgage. Paul argues that he is not sick and does not want to be treated like a lab experiment. Frustrated, Elise tries to make him understand how serious the situation has become. On July 5th, Mia moves her tiny father into a dollhouse where he can live more safely and comfortably. As he explores his new home, Paul jokes around with Mia and even dances with one of the dolls to make her laugh. Later, Mia pretends to be a monster and growls at him during a game. However, her loud voice hurts Paul's tiny ears, and she quickly apologizes when she realizes what happened. That night, Paul climbs up Elise's huge hand and joins her in bed. Everything about her now seems enormous compared to him. On July 10th, Paul makes a small rope and hook from fishing gear because moving around the house has become much harder. At that moment, Tofu sneaks back into the house through a small pet door. Terrified, Paul tries to get away but accidentally trips over a hook and cuts himself. After taking off his bloody shirt, he grabs a sewing needle as a weapon and runs toward the dollhouse. But Tofu keeps chasing him. To escape, Paul rolls through a crack under the basement door. The cat reaches out with its paw to catch him, causing Paul to fall down the stairs and land inside a trash bin in the basement. Sometime later, Elise comes home and finds Paul's bloody shirt on the floor. Alarmed, she begins searching for him. She even checks the basement, where Paul desperately shouts for help, but she cannot hear him. When Tofu appears, Paul tries to get the cat's attention so Elise will notice him. Sadly, Elise assumes the cat has killed and eaten her husband. Heartbroken, she goes back upstairs, leaving poor Paul trapped and alone. After spending the entire day inside the trash bin, Paul makes new clothes for himself and climbs out to explore the basement. As he travels through the huge space, he finds the sewing needle that fell with him earlier. Keeping the needle as a weapon, Paul soon hears a spider nearby. Wanting water, he quickly heads to the leaking boiler, where he drinks and cleans himself. The next morning, Paul hears movement upstairs and rushes to the stairs, hoping to get his family's attention. Unfortunately, no one notices him. He hears Mia saying she wants to go to the basement to look for her father, but Elise refuses. Paul decides not to give up. He finds a piece of white chalk and writes his name on the floor. It is a smart idea, but there is one problem: nobody comes down to see it. Later, feeling hungry, Paul searches for food. He finds a mousetrap baited with cheese, but several ants are already eating it. Using his needle, he drives the ants away and drops a nail onto the trap to try to set it off safely. He then starts eating the cheese. While he is eating, a spider appears above him and scares him, forcing Paul to make noise until it leaves. Later, Paul tries to get through a cardboard box near the aquarium. Using a nail, a rag, and a bottle cap filled with water, he slowly softens the cardboard and finally breaks through it. Inside, he spots a box of matches among old books and office supplies. However, a heavy book blocks his path, and he is too weak to move it. Instead, he blocks the entrance and spends the night there. On July 15th, Paul again hears sounds from upstairs. He bangs a nail against a paper clip, hoping his wife will hear him, but it does not work. While listening, he overhears Elise talking on the phone and learns that the house has been sold and that the family will soon move away. Realizing that waiting is useless, Paul decides to drink some wine. He goes to the basement wine rack and pokes a hole in a cork with his needle. Using a thimble, he collects the dripping wine and drinks it. The alcohol quickly makes him sick, and he starts throwing up. At that moment, Paul notices the spider watching him. The creature now seems much larger than before. Holding his needle like a sword, Paul climbs onto the aquarium and challenges the spider. A moment later, the spider frightens him, causing him to fall into the aquarium. As he swims, he remembers diving in the sea and finds a brief moment of peace while watching the goldfish swim around him. After climbing out of the water, Paul pours out some fish food from a bucket but is too unsure to eat it himself. Later, Paul returns to his hiding place, where he finds the spider waiting in the darkness like a hunter. He attacks it with his needle and runs away, hiding behind a bookcase. However, the spider keeps chasing him and eventually traps him against a wall. Desperate to survive, Paul grabs a wooden splinter and stabs the spider in the face, damaging one of its eyes. The spider finally backs away, and Paul shouts at it, causing it to run off completely. Afterward, Paul gathers scraps of paper from his shelter. He manages to get a box of matches and struggles to light one. Using the small flame, he starts a fire and warms himself beside it. Sitting next to him is a toy tin soldier that belongs to Mia. Feeling lonely, Paul tells the toy how much he misses his daughter and asks it to tell her that he loves her and is still alive. On July 20th, Paul continues surviving alone and refuses to give up. When he hears noise from upstairs, he rushes to the stairs and tries to get the attention of a man coming into the basement. But the man's huge footsteps are so loud that they hurt Paul's ears and leave him in terrible pain. After the man leaves, Paul notices that the goldfish is gone from the aquarium, which makes him very sad. By August 2nd, Paul has become even smaller. Now even mosquitoes seem enormous to him. While watching one fly around, he notices a mosquito net covering the basement window and realizes it could be his way out. Using all his strength, Paul climbs up the wooden leg of a tall shelf. After resting for a moment, he leaps onto the stone wall nearby. To someone his size, the gaps between the stones look like long mountain paths. Later that night, he reaches the boiler and discovers a spider's nest nearby. He carefully tries to avoid the web, but accidentally gets caught in it. The spider slowly crawls toward him. To Paul, it now looks like a giant monster rather than an ordinary spider. He is so terrified that he wets himself and prepares to die. But at the last second, the spider turns away. Perhaps it cannot see him properly because of its injured eye, or perhaps it simply ignores him. Paul continues his journey and finally reaches the mosquito net. Unfortunately, he is still too large to fit through the holes, so he must wait and become even smaller. The next morning, on August 7th, an ant gently touches his leg and wakes him up. Soon after, the giant spider appears again. Luckily, Paul has shrunk enough overnight to squeeze through the net. He escapes, while the spider is too large to follow him. At last, Paul reaches the outside world, where new dangers await. He walks across the ground, pauses beside a drop of water, and notices a white butterfly flying toward him. Thinking about everything he has been through, he tells himself that he has finally escaped his cage and is no longer afraid. After the butterfly flies away, Paul gazes up at the stars and thinks about Mia. Somewhere else, Mia is looking at the same night sky and thinking of him too.